What is going on, traders, and welcome back to this new backtesting session on the continuation model. In this video, we're going to do things a little bit differently. Usually we only test the London session or only the New York session. In this video, for the price action from last week, I will be backtesting both sessions basically. Now, if you want a full in-depth tutorial on how the model actually works, you can check out the video with the link in the description, but I will quickly give you a summary. What we're basically trying to do is trade an ICT concept type strategy that is based on a continuation model. Now, price is usually more likely to continue than actually reverse. When we look at certain trends, they tend to be continuing, but they tend to stop you out before continuing the trend. And this is exactly what we're playing. We're playing the people that get stopped out here. So in this instance, you can clearly see that we have a bullish trend. We take out the liquidity from a low. We will then start looking at an FEG or a breaker block in the discounted zone from the displacement leg. The displacement leg is the leg that breaks structure. There's a really big difference between a break of structure and a sweep. A sweep will have a strong reaction, like right here. This is displacement through that high, so that is a break of structure. Then we will map out our premium and our discount, and we will try to catch an entry from our discounted zone. So let's get right into trading. Alrighty. Also, a quick note, as you can see, the time settings have changed. We are no longer using UTC -4 because daylight saving time actually activated. So for those of you who do not know that yet, make sure to adjust your settings from FX replay or even TradingView to UTC -5. So you're always trading the right kill zone windows. Now, what I just noticed is that the settings of my sessions are not perfectly set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly change them. All right, with that out of the way, now our session should be printed correctly. That's perfect. The only thing is that the Asian session is not set up correctly yet, so you need to shift this with 1 hour. But usually the eye can already spot the range that it created, and you do not really need that Asian session window. Let's see if we're able to catch an opportunity here. So straight up looking at the data, what do we see? We see that we are clearly in an uptrend. So our first target right now is going to be to look for longs, unless we get a clear indication that the market wants to start reversing. All right, so here is a perfect opportunity. As you can see, the market was trending bullish. We swept a bunch of liquidity from the downside from all of these lows right here. Everything above this line, it all got swept, it all got taken out. And now we have that market structure shift or that break of structure right here continuing to the upside. When it comes to an opportunity that we would be looking for, we would be looking for a trade just below equilibrium or in a discounted zone. I don't think price is willing to reverse here yet. Perhaps it is. So what we're going to do right now is look for a perfect place to enter our trade. In this case, I would say that an entry around equilibrium would not be too bad. We are going to cover the low of that last FEG right here. And our target is going to be 2R statically because we have no clear POI or anchor point that is above 2R. All right, as you can see, price took off without us. And from this point, I am not really interested in longs anymore, given the extension that we've made, the sell side that got swept, and now the buy side that is being swept. If we zoom out, we can also see that we took out a clear high here. So it could be that price is going to start to reverse. So let's see if we get anything else here. All right, so I was playing through price and I just noticed that we actually didn't get a single good setup in the London session here. Here we saw a sweep, but no follow through of a break of that high. We never really saw a break of the highs anymore. We're still quite bullish. There was no bearish intent. So in the London session, we would have not had a trade on Monday, the 6th of November. Alrighty, so we have just arrived in the New York session here, in the New York kill zone. So let's see if we can catch a nice continuation trade right here. What I'd first like to see is some liquidity being taken out, followed by a clear intention in direction. If New York session is showing us that it clearly wants to be bullish by taking out some sell side first and then having clear push to the upside, we will be bullish. And otherwise, if the opposite happens, we will be bearish. All right, so I think I found a pretty nice setup right here. If we look at the past price action, as I mentioned, I'm looking for bearish prices or a bearish continuation, basically because we took out the buy side liquidity and we had a really strong reversal giving away the hand of the market being bearish. So I was waiting for a high to be swept for us to then break the low that actually took out the high for us to take a continuation. Now what we can see is right here we had a clear sweep of liquidity, but we didn't have that follow through or market structure shift. We didn't see the logo, so there were no entries right here. Then this leg also swept liquidity, as you can see, and had a really strong reaction. But again, we failed to break below or displace below the low that took out that liquidity. And then right now, what do we see? We have this high right here being violated, a really strong reaction. And then right here, we can see an FEG. We also broke the low that took the liquidity. So right here, we could be looking for a potential entry. So what we will do is we will measure out that fair value gap. I'm pretty sure that this fair value gap is in a premium zone. It is indeed. I will be placing a short position right around equilibrium. I will cover the high of candle number 1, the candle before the fair value gap. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be targeting the low hanging fruit right here. I will put on a sell limit of 1%, and then we will see if price plays out or not. And as you can see, it looks like the trade is already working out just fine. I have a little retracement here, and this retracement was just rebalancement of this FEG right here. And there we go. We hit our target immediately, and we managed to secure 2.78R, so almost 2.8R, which is pretty decent for our first trade on the Monday. All right, so as we can see, the market is actually starting to reverse here. We had this really steep drop to the downside, taking out the lows from the London session, which is also a strong confluence, of course, taking out all the buy side liquidity from over here. Now, what we can see is that we took out liquidity from this intermediate low that we created. We rebalanced the imbalance that we have below there. And now we see that really strong displacement above this high, indicating that one, the market has bullish intent right now, and that a continuation model setup has presented itself. What we can see right here is that we actually have a breaker block combined with a fair value gap right here. And this is exactly where we are going to place our order. So what I will do is I will place it exactly on the breaker block. I am going to cover the low of candle number 1 below the last candle with an FEG printed. And we are going to target the low hanging fruit, which in this case is going to be this intermediate high right here that we created, which is just above 2R. Let's place the order with 1% risk and see what happens. Right, it seems like we got filled, but honestly, if we think about a real life scenario, this might not actually get you filled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to neglect this trade. Of course, FX Replay is showing us this as a win, but I'm going to neglect it. I'm going to try to score at least 12% in this backtesting session. But yeah, we could count it as a win. You could market execute as soon as you see us tap this level. It's up to you whether you would count this trade as a functional trade or not. I will personally not, because I usually set limit orders. In an instance like this, I would really not be looking for a market execution. In this case, we are nearing 11 a.m., so I'm not going to be looking for any more trades. 2 back-to-back winners are pretty nice, so I'm going to skip to the next day. All right, so FX Replay had a lag spike when I was skipping through sessions, and it seems like I accidentally skipped the London session. Let's quickly do some hindsight analysis here to see whether we could have taken a setup or not. Right here, what I can immediately see is that we swept this liquidity, had a run lower, but I don't think we had an entry opportunity right here. Actually, we did, and this, I think, would have been a loser. Let's see. This would have definitely been a loser, as you can see. Also, given the extension that we have made, it's not likely that I would take a trade like this, but purely mechanically looking at the continuation model, this would be a valid setup. Now, right here, of course, we have bullish intentions, bullish sentiment, and we do sweep the liquidity right here. Then we have quite a convincing close right here above this previous high. If it was a sweep, it wouldn't have been ranging there so much, then we would have seen an instant reaction to the downside. So this to me would give me confidence that the market is going to continue. If we then take a look at a possible point of entry, we can see that around equilibrium we actually have this small FEG left. So you could take this as an entry. It would cover candle number 1 below the last FEG, so that would be a stop loss like this. And then you could target the low hanging fruit right here. And as you can see, do not be afraid of tight stop losses, because this strategy is really based on candle formations and it's a time-based thing as well. So right here, you would have been able to make 2.7R, which is great. And other than that, I do not immediately see a setup. Perhaps this one We have all of these highs form. We sweep this high, have a strong continuation to the downside. Possible entry right here. And we could target a solid 1 to 2R, which would be here. And that would have, again, have been a winner. So if you would have traded London session, these would have been the stats. So a loss, a win, and another win. Now let's actually see and try to run up the account actually in the New York session. So at a first glance, what we can see is that price has been really bearish. I don't really see price reversing all the way back to that London session high within the New York kill zone. That would have to be either news or extreme price action. What we can also see right here is that we have a clear displacement to the downside, really indicating that we want to see lower prices. So to me, I would actually count this as a continuation model. So what I will do is I will place an order. So just to clarify, here we have the sweep. We have the continuation leg to the downside. We have an FEG that we can enter off of right here in the discounted zone. As you can see, we can cover the last candle over here. And then our target is going to be a solid 2R because we do not have a fixed point around it. This would be quite an extreme move. And around 2R, what we can see is that we have this little FEG right here that we can basically rely on. So I think this is a great target for us to set around 2R. Let us place the order and see if we get filled. It seems like we do get filled, and this is quite a convincing fill. Now, is it going to be a stop out or a take profit? And it seems like in this case, we actually get stopped out here, which is completely fine. The account is still up around 4R, so this loss is not really going to affect it. Now, this doesn't mean that I immediately flip to a bullish sentiment. I'm still quite bearish for the day. I'm really convinced that we will take out the low right here, given the bearish sentiment that we've seen for the day. So let's see what happens here. All right, so here we do see quite a clear sweep of this high, followed by a really strong push to the downside. We actually just took that low here as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to map out my premium and discount zone. And we go. I am going to set a short. In this case, we have an FEG and also have a breaker block right here, exactly at equilibrium. Given that the stop loss is going to have to be wide because we're going to have to cover the last FEG in that leg, which is, let me mark it out for you, it's right here. So given the wide stop loss, I'm going to enter at around equilibrium. And the target is going to be, this is 2R. But if we're going here, we're for sure taking out the low, right? So what I would do is place this logical target of around 2.5R. Let's actually make that a solid 2.5. That's always nice to see. And let's see if we, one, get filled, do not get stopped out, and possibly hit our take profit. All right, so we do get filled right here. And as we can see, we are pushing to the downside quite harshly, which is nice to see. And it seems like we are respecting the highs. So this is clearly the sell program. And there we go. That's a nice 2.5R trade, running up the account to around 6.4%, which is really nice. Let's see if we catch anything else. Now at this point, taking out the sell side liquidity, nearing the end of the New York kill zone, I am honestly expecting that we will see a little bit of higher prices. We could possibly even go for the high of the New York session here. But let's first let the market confirm what I am thinking here. This is, of course, intuition and experience. All right, so we are clearly going bullish, but I do not see an entry opportunity here yet. All right, so we already take out the high right here. So in this case, no continuation model entry presented itself, giving us no opportunity, and it's nearing 11. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip ahead to the London session of the next day. All right, so this time I didn't skip the London session. Let's see if we can spot a little sweep. It's pretty clear, I think, what the bias is going to be. We went through that Asian low and continued displacing below it. So clearly no indication at all that we want to reverse. So for now, my bias is going to stay bearish, thinking that we have some more sell side liquidity in mind. Right, so we could think that this was a sweep of that high, but we didn't have the follow through breaking the low. Here again, we are sweeping that high. Do we have a follow through? Not really, didn't take out the low. Now here we sweep this high again, and this is looking pretty promising, as you can see. To me, this is not a convincing close below the structure that we created. We just wicked it, so this could have just as well been a sweep, especially with the strong reaction we're seeing. So I would like some more confirmation, and this is exactly the confirmation that I would be looking for. Let's take a look. this is the high that swept. So that's where we anchor our premium and discount on. And we don't really have an entry opportunity in a discounted zone. And the last FEG just got mitigated. So for me, there would not really be an entry. But actually, we do have this nice little breaker block right here, which of course is also allowed in the strategy. So perhaps I could take an entry off of that. The stop loss is going to be simple, is going to be above these candles, a logical point. This is also candle number 1 of the FEG, so this would be valid. And our target is going to be just below the low hanging fruit right here. Looking at this price action, it's really a picture perfect ICT 2022 model setup as well. So let's set this order. We get filled right here, and then we have an instant move towards our TP, which is amazing. So now we ran up the account to 8%. Which is quite amazing in just 3 days. This is the 3rd day, so this is really nice. Let's see what the market wants to do right now. All right, so as we can see, there are no highs being swept, so I'm just continuing playing price to see what's going on here. We have a really strong continuation to the downside. At this point, it's safe to say that we are really extended. Just quickly zooming out, and we also just took out the New York session sell side liquidity, which could be pointing to the fact that we are going to see a reversal. And now we actually hit 5 a.m., which is the end of the London kill zone. So no more trades for me. I will be skipping to the next session, being the New York kill zone. As you can see, we are clearly quite bullish. It seems like we're starting to head for that London buy side liquidity. So let's see if we can see a clear continuation model setup before we take that out. It seems like right here we just induced relative equal lows for us to sweep again, which in fact we do. And now I am expecting a reversal up to this trend line right here. So possibly we could catch a continuation. This could have been a really nice sweep because we took out this low and displaced above, but no real closure above. Again, no convincing closes here. The reason I'm really not looking at this is because we just left imbalance here. So this move is likely just rebalancement. I really want to see strong displacement above one of these highs. Now, this is starting to look like a convincing follow through right here. So what we can see right here, we swept this, then we also swept this, and now we have a really strong reversal. We also have that market structure shift. So right now I'm quite positive that we're actually flipping bullish. Our first target is going to be the high right here from the buy side that we left behind. Let's see if we are able to catch an entry. It seems like price is really going for it immediately. Let's see. Looks like we might get a little pullback here. Alrighty, let's actually smack on an order long right here. This is the last FEG, or the first one in the discounted zone. This is the last one. I will cover the low of that candle, and our target is going to be those, let's say the low hanging fruit, which is exactly 2R. Let's place this order. See, and we don't get filled and immediately take out the liquidity here. All right, now the trick here is we are not trying to catch reversal. A lot of ICT traders that I know, and I'm not talking about my elite members because they all know what's going on right here. So we have this fake reversal setting up, most likely. And a lot of people say, hey, this is the market structure shift. This was the sweep. I'm going to look for shorts right here. There's no reason to look for shorts right now. We still have the buy side from the London session up here. We have been bearish all day. If we reverse, it's really to take out all of that buy side liquidity. So in this case, I would expect that this buy side would also go. Now, by the way, if you want to learn more stuff like this, I do have an elite membership where I mentor everyone personally. And I also have a course covering all of the important concepts, all of the ICT stuff basically combined, simplified, and refined to my likings, to how I personally trade. If you're interested in that, I will leave a link in the description. But feel free to just stick to the free content, of course, or the free Discord even. And when we want to trade is exactly at this point, when we displace through that high, then we can use our FIB tool again to establish a possible entry. And as we can see, we do have this fair value gap right here. We would have to cover this low. Our target is going to be solid 2R. I will use this high right here for 2.1R. Well, let's see if we actually get filled. This is the second trade where we do not seem to be going to get filled. Of course, our premium and discount zone is also extending, but we are still at a valid point of entry. And in this case, our profit target got hit. As long as we don't take out those Asian highs, I am still interested in this leg right here. All right, so it seems like price might be reversing right now. Other than the breaker block we have right here, I don't really see any other opportunity. I think the stop loss would have to be really wide. And the Asian highs are only going to give us a 1.8R. So in this case, I'm going to sit on my hands, see what price does. If he would have been filled and hit TP, that's great. But I'm not going to expose myself to so much risk. And there we go. We take out the Asian highs. And it is also 11. So very likely we will see price slow down. I'm not really interested in any more entries. But the calls for the day were actually reached, which is nice. Let's see what the next day London session has to offer us. Next session. And there we go. Let's quickly zoom out. It seems like we're kind of stuck in a range. Looks like we took out a bunch of the highs right here. And overall, we are super extended. Right now, it seems like we are quite bearish, right? Looking at the latest price action. So I'm thinking that the most logical target is going to be the stop losses below the sell side right here. So what I would be looking for is going to be a violation of a high followed by a strong continuation to the downside for my continuation model entry. Moves like this do not get FOMO. All this does is induce liquidity for price to return to at a later stage. Right now, we still have liquidity on the buy side as well, right? So do not try to jump in trades right here. This is how you get trapped as the liquidity, right? Still no sweep here. To me, this is displacement above this high. So I would not count this as a sweep. This to me is also not too convincing. And now, okay, it seems like we're still didn't take this out. Now, I really do want to see that taken out or some really strong displacement to at least through this low, I would say. And once we do, I'm interested in shorts, but I don't like to enter like right here because just above our stop loss, we have other stop losses that are still intact, right? So the liquidity pool there grows. So I'm going to avoid a trade like that. And that's exactly why, as you can see, there was a kind of a follow through taking out this low. So some people could have been trapped here. You could say that we did sweep this, but to me, this was a clear swing high. This is where the real stop losses were. We just took that out. Right now, I am really interested in shorts because we did induce this nice trend line liquidity here to the downside. So let's see if we get an entry opportunity. Breaking this low would already be enough for me. And we do seem to break that low. And now we took out the major liquidity. Now with a move this strong, this early on in London session, I'm starting to think that we could see price drive all the way down to the New York session right here. So I'm still interested. This liquidity being taken out doesn't scare me simply because we didn't see a strong reaction. Okay, let's see. I'm thinking right here, we do have a really nice breaker block combined with an FEG, right? There we go. And it's also in a nice little discount, a premium, I'm sorry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the high here. Candle number 1, it's a wide stop. But given that our drawn liquidity in this case is going to be the low from London and New York. And again, if you really want to learn how I look at the markets, I do offer that to elite members exclusively. And we will be using a fixed 2R TP here. Right, since we violate that, still I'm not really scared of this. To me, this is not a sweep. We do get filled, as you can see. Now, I do not really want to see that high being violated convincingly again. So I'm going to play price really slow. Okay, so we sweep it again. Now I'm pretty confident that price is going to deliver as expected. What I will, however, do to protect capital is I'm going to protect this high, knowing that it swept this right here. It shouldn't really come back above this. That's why I'm taking off some of the risk. Also, I extended my TP to the low-hanging fruit here. Let's see if we stay in the position. By the way, just going to give you some nice markup here. Tapped into this FEG, tapping into this one, and reacting to it just absolutely perfectly. Now we have this one. With the sell program active, you will see these respected until we reach the target it was aiming for. This rebalanced, as you can see. And now we should see a clean delivery here. And as you can see, we actually, if we would have gone break even, we would have been taken out right now. That's why it's important not to blindly manage at around break even, but to manage where price shouldn't be going if a certain sell program is active. So right here, to me, it shouldn't go above this to invalidate my trade. Right now, what it did is it swept this liquidity to continue. So it probably didn't have enough liquidity to make a continuous move. Now, of course, what I will do is I will manage my stop at break even. You could do it just above these highs, but I think this would suffice because the sweep of liquidity we had. I'm expecting TP to be hit any moment now. We do hit TP here and we make 2.2R. So right now we are up 10%. I will try to go up to 12%, even though it's already Thursday. If we take a few losses, it could be that we just end the week, cover the whole Friday, which didn't happen before with the continuation model. Backtesting videos here on YouTube. But hey, let's see. Next session, New York session. All right, price is really indicating that it seems to be wanting to go lower, so it could really take out the New York close today. However, I would expect some kind of retracement from the New York session, taking out some liquidity before continuing lower. I'm also not taking a continuation model entry right here because this sweep was not part of a session. It was not swept within the macro times in the kill zones, so I'm not taking an entry there. Now it seems like we might be flipping bullish. Yeah, I think we are actually. So now I'm waiting for a clear sweep. And if we do see that sweep, I'm not going to target like the London session high necessarily because I still think and I have an overall bearish bias for today. But I could definitely squeeze out a trade till around equilibrium. Here we go. That's probably the sweep we were looking for. Can we see a continuation? All right, so I really want to see a candle close here. We don't have an FEG. We can, however, use this as our breaker block, or even this. Actually, this is our breaker block. Let's see if that is within our discount. It's not really, so let's see if we can get that leg to extend just a little bit. There we go. And now the trade is, of course, justified. So I'll catch along right at equilibrium, which is the 50% level of that breaker block as well. I'm going to cover candle number 1 of the extreme FEG, which is this, right? Because this was the last FEG. This is candle number 1. This already got mitigated, but the stop loss remains the same. It's the same logic, right? And we can simply target the low-hanging fruit right here. We can simply target around 2R. Let's place this trade. Ooh, this is scary. We might get stopped out here. Okay, it seems like we... I'm not going to say got lucky, but it seems like price was in our favor this time. So that's nice. And we managed to run up the account to 12.6%, which is amazing. This is really nice. These are really great statistics. Now, I do want to quickly play through the end of the day. I really want to see if my bias was actually right. Okay, so I might have been wrong. Yeah, I was definitely wrong with my overall bias. But as you can see, even though my bias was bearish, I can still catch these quick 1 to 2 hour trades targeting around equilibrium. So even if my bias is wrong, I can still make some decent money. And now I suppose this is news in the PM session here. So perhaps my call that the New York session would be taken out is true. And it actually was. So I wasn't wrong after all. Actually, it took out that session low there. All right, now let's quickly take a look at the statistics. Alrighty, so we have arrived at the statistics page. Now, I do want to tell you that these types of results, they are not to be used as a reference point because, of course, you do need more data on a certain model or a strategy before you know whether it's profitable to use. By the way, this is not financial advice. This is purely for educational purposes. But in this session, we were actually quite lucky with our continuation model. We managed to make 12.6%. We had 7 total trades, a win rate of 85.7%, which is really good. We only had 1 losing trade. That was on a Tuesday. The other days were winners. An average R of 2.27, which is really nice. And here FX Replay is saying that we could milk out quite a bit more R out of our trades. On average, it would be 6.58 R that we could target. And here it says could have profited but went BE. Let's actually see. Did we take a break-even trade? Don't remember that. So I'm not really sure what this means, but I suppose they mean the loser that could have actually turned out to be a winner. Right, but overall, these are pretty great statistics. Now, if you want to learn to trade like me, because of course this is using a core model, but I am using the stuff that I know and I teach to my students to actually get a greater edge. And I do see a lot of my students getting really good results. If you're interested in learning how to trade like me, I do have the Elite program open. You can check it out. You can join for as cheap right now, for as cheap as $50 a month. You will get my personal attention. We do have limited seats. The seats are currently still publicly available, but it could be that in a few days after you're watching this, that the Elite membership is actually going to close. It's going to be invitation only, and only when seats go empty will we be able to accept new people. So if you're interested in learning, not only learning how to trade, but learning how to manage yourself, your emotions, and so much more than that, then I do highly recommend you to check out the Elite program. I will leave a link in the description to that. If you have questions or if you want to join a like-minded community full of traders who are working really hard to achieve their dreams, you can always join the free Discord server, which will also be linked in the description below. I would also really appreciate if you stuck to the end. I'm pretty sure you found some value, that you could leave a nice little comment what you liked about the video or disliked about the video, and leaving a like, possibly even subscribing if you want to see more videos like this in the future would also be greatly appreciated. And other than that, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.